I'm Allison Warren, Gates Principal, and welcome to AB Connects.
Hi, Lucia Sullivan, Principal of the Douglas School, and we're super excited to take you on a tour of this building, which will house Gates, Douglas, and the Integrated Preschool next fall.
We know you had a tour in October, and we're excited to give you an update in May. Let's go.
This is the cafeteria. So it is sized for 2 schools. It has the option to be subdivided, right? So you can see the pocket for the movable wall. You might wonder what this is. This is because we'll have walk-off mats. So this is sized for 2 lunch periods. So for all the students for 2 lunch periods, but you may choose to do it in 3. You have the flexibility. And so this is the stage. And so what's unique about this space is that we have an elevated stage and then we have a flat floor stage on the other side, because we know that there's lots of different activities. Sometime there might be a play, sometime there might be a band or strings concert or choral concert, and this gives the school flexibility to do many different performances. So there'll be light rigs, and I know that we have a sound system. So back here we will have, this is the kitchen area. So there's actually 2 servery areas, so that knowing, you might run it as one big space, you might run it as 2 separate spaces. You have the flexibility to do both. And the kitchen is much larger than the current kitchen setups. The teacher lunchroom's over here, and that will have like a stove and microwave, so everything that teachers want to do with prep.
How many fridges?
I would have to check on that one.
Okay.
So this, Allison, you ask a good question. So we have a breakout lunch space. So knowing that there are sometimes kids with sensory issues, or if you want to have a lunch group for different subject matter, there's actually a room off of the lunchroom here where that would happen. So it's a quieter lunchroom space off of, and that gives you the flexibility to do clubs or other things. So it's kind of like the bonus lunch space.
It's great.
Yeah, we've had a lot of success putting these into schools, and they get used quite often. And even if you need like a bonus classroom or meeting space, it's a great option. And this is the Learning Commons. So this was conceived as a community space. There will be 3 tiers of kind of steps, risers on either side. And again, this is a welcoming space. It's one of the first spaces that you see as you come through the front door. It also serves in a way of like pre-function to the cafeteria. So if you have overflow or kids that are about to go out to the playground, it's a nice space where you can do transitions. It was designed to be able to accommodate a couple classes at a time. Everything is accessible. So you see we've got a wheelchair ramp, or actually I shouldn't say just wheelchair. It's for everything, for strollers, for other things you're wheeling up and down, and then we've got steps too. So ways in which we can combine multiple ways, so we're not having someone who needs to use a ramp go all the way around. We integrate it together. And you can see the outline of where the risers are going to be here. So it will look nice and integrated. So this will be one of the STEAM labs.
Oh, cool.
Right? And the other one will be on that side. So one of the things that is sort of an interesting issue with designing schools like this is that gyms need to be very, very tall, and the classrooms and other spaces don't need to be so tall. So one of the ways that we do that differential of height is to have a very slowly sloped floor, right? So that we're taking advantage of the natural terrain but also aren't creating lots of stairs, especially in hallways. So there's two gyms. This is the larger of the two gyms. You might remember this one from the October visit. Things that are different is that we have windows. You're starting to see some of the colors in the paint. It's also a lot quieter. So this is 6,000 square feet, and it can accommodate a middle school basketball game. And we'll have basketball hoops on both ends, but also on the cross courts as well. I believe we've got stanchions for volleyball and badminton as well, and so there'll be opportunities for many, many different types of sports. This is the backstory, but this is where you'll find the boilers, and you'll find geothermal equipment, and you'll find all of the stuff that makes the building work. And coordinating this was a wonderful exercise.
Learned a lot.
We learned a lot. So your building staff will get trained and understand it. There's also a building management system, so where there used to be someone shoveling coal, it's really operated by the computer, and there's a lot of alerts and sensors and ways in which we can track what's working and what's not working.
Okay, if the water stops flowing or something.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
So one of the fun facts, Allison and Lucia, is that we've got double railings because we like to put little railings for little kids.
Yeah.
So
That's so great.
that's something that we like to do in our projects.
Well, the little kids are going to be doing a lot of steps. That's
They
what
are.
we're talking about. The
They
kindergartners
are.
are going to be tired.
So this is, obviously this is gates. One of the ways in which I kind of remember which floor is which is green is Gates, blue is Douglas. So these are grades 5 and 6 classrooms. Should we go in?
Yeah, this will be great. A lot of floor protection now.
Yeah. So this is a wild change from what we saw last October. You're starting to see some of the casework. And so in each classroom, what we have is sort of a, let's call it the mud room type of area, where every kid will have a cubby to be able to put their footwear, and then hooks. You can sort of see these hooks over here, where they can put their backpacks and coats. And this area also could accommodate a table if there needs to be small work or something a little quieter from the main classroom. And then the other area of the classroom is where most of the sort of large group or different type of teaching zones will be. So this is an example of a grade 5 or 6 classroom. We have a lot of storage. We have 2 sinks. One is accessible, one is deeper, and I believe that they have a water bubbler on it too. So there's no need to kind of go outside for a water fountain. That's here. And then something that the teachers were very excited about was a very large, deep cabinet in the corner here. So you can sort of see, teachers.
There's a closet. There's been a lot of.
Yeah, teachers have a lot of stuff, appropriately so. And so having a cabinet that can be locked for the teachers.
Also, they can hang their coat and stuff.
Yeah.
So and then these are standard 24-inch base cabinets.
Correct.
Right? And then
yeah.
the ones above look like they're about 10 inches.
They're standard 12-inch.
They are 12
Yeah, so
inches
wall cabinets tend to be 12
Okay.
inches.
But are they 36 inches high?
They are either 36 or 39, but we maximized it as long as we could. As we talked about this over here, this is a breakout room, and one is shared by every 2 classrooms. So in case you have resource work or special education work that's push in, or if there needs to be some tutoring or testing, this is a great option, or even small group work for a teacher to have kids in this room and there's still a visual connection.
Right, or just
between the two.
even somebody who wants like a quieter space.
Absolutely.
Distraction, making things up.
So things that you will notice when you move in is that the classroom is a lot quieter than a standard classroom. So what you see over here, it's actually covered in blue, are the diffusers. So that's your fresh air system.
Okay.
That's where the air comes in, and it comes in low and it returns high. And then you're up here by the windows where you have your radiant panels. So that's where your cooling and your heating is. And I know that a lot of people were concerned about the window size.
Voila.
It's
Did
pretty
people
big.
think it was small?
Yeah. There was a lot of worry about, you know, are we going to have adequate daylight? So I'll kind of leave it up to you how you feel. So your teaching wall will be over here. So we're not using projectors. They're all screens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that will be mounted here. You can sort of see the junction box of where that'll go. So that wall will whiteboard and tack boards, right? Because it's nice to have multimodal options, especially when you're teaching in a classroom like this.
And what is the flooring? It's
So
laminate.
so it's something called it's not laminate. It's linoleum. So it's a wood look linoleum, which is a much
Oh, but it's real soft.
Yeah, it's a much healthier, long-lasting type of flooring. It's considered very environmentally conscious because there's very little off-gassing. It's a natural material, and it does not need waxing and stripping. And it's actually the same as what we've got in the gray. So very intentionally, we've got the color on this side, and then this side is really about what the teacher puts into it, the student art. We didn't want to you know, decorate this side because there'll be so much stuff there. And of course, we've got a smaller whiteboard for.
These are all great, and the tack.
And the
These are
tack,
great.
yep. So one of the things we also talked about is how much visibility we went into the classrooms. And in the general classrooms, we wanted to maximize it as much as possible to be able to have that connection, you know, show displays of learning as you go by, but in a way that's not distracted. So, you know, you'll have older kids. My fifth grader is 5'1", so I get that. But, you know, there is sort of a peak view for kids, but for the most part, it's high at adult height.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the hallways, we've got a, I believe it's a tack board that we've got going. Yeah. Yeah. So they oscillate between marker boards and tack boards for more stuff.
Fabulous.
Yeah. So.
So exciting.
This is where you've got 5 and 6. So this is counseling.
Counseling office?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the psychologist room. This is the IEP conference room. So where you bring families, you meet, services, again, windows so that it can be a nice experience.
Nice. Beautiful.
Your faces are priceless. And then we've got a teacher workroom at the end.
Okay.
This is a copy room.
Okay.
And this is a teacher workroom. So this is where teachers can meet privately and do collaborations amongst grades. So this is important because this is where you're entering the gates and where you'll be going upstairs to Douglas.
Great.
Right? And so the ways in which we can control different flows coming in and identify the school. There's your second elevator.
Okay.
Or so your first elevator, second elevator's over here. So these are art and music. So this is art. Yeah. Well, that was by design. And obviously we've got a very large display wall next to art, right? And then we've got the music room. What we find in schools is that nobody wants to volunteer to be close to the music room. Yeah, we put it as remote as possible. So this is one of my favorite spaces. So this will all be glassed in, so you'll be able to see, but you can't walk through it. But,
Fabulous.
right? So you get a sense on both of the school floors that you're always connected to the media center,
Fabulous.
right?
And the outside space.
And you're connected downstairs. So like when I'm standing here, I can look down
Yep.
and I can look up,
Yep.
right? So ways in which we're very,
Through.
and through. So ways that we can connect the building without having acoustic
Yeah,
issues.
Right.
And so that it really feels like a community
Yeah.
while also being separate for the various schools.
Safe and
And- yeah,
quiet.
yeah.
Yeah.
So these are some, again, really gorgeous classrooms. You know, with each view, it's slightly different. I believe these are, writing, grade 4.
Okay.
So these are grade 4, 4, and then as we go down the hall, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. So, you know, when we were first trying to figure out how to organize the school, a lot of people wanted us to do similar to Parker Damon,
Yeah.
right? One school on the
Left
left,
and right.
one school on the right. And we realized that in order for us to build a community amongst the Douglas School and the Gates School, it made more sense for us to be on a single floor, right? And we worked really hard to make sure that you're all on the same floor. And yes, we've done got some long hallways, but we break them up with colors and sort of that in and out so that it doesn't look like the infinite. So this is probably the, we've always thought of it as the heart of the school. So the media center library is 2 stories. And that allows us to make sure that it's connected both to the Gates and the Douglas School. And it's also connected to the Boardwalk, and it's connected to the ground floor in some very subtle moves. So the railing extends around, and as you look at the ceiling, it almost looks like stars, right? So we very intentionally painted it blue, and there'll be some very large 2-story graphics along the way as to be able to connect it. What you're seeing upstairs is some of the portholes. So kind of a surprise as you are in the Douglas portion of the school. So it'll be lined with bookshelves. Over here we'll have an area where there'll be some more risers where you can kind of do story time. And just for library geeks.
Yeah, I want to see all the library spaces.
Library geeks, we have a office here and we have a workroom because
Oh, great. That's what the librarian was
Right.
curious because she was like, where do the new books
where
go?
do
and
you
where
new
do the books
books,
get
where do you
repaired?
bind, where do you do
Yeah.
all that? That's in this area.
Oh, this is
again,
great.
Connected. Yeah. And one of the things that we knew was very important is if you have someone who has got ambulatory issues, not having to go out to the elevator and back, so there's access to the elevator within the library.
Great.
Yeah, and to a stair. So let's say that you need to go from the media center right out. There's a stair right there that
Great.
you can go out. So this is one of the STEAM classrooms, and this is going to be a really wonderful space because it's all about sort of learning on display.
Yeah.
The other one's over there.
Okay.
Right, and these are shared between the 2 schools.
Yes.
And then you've got the 2 administration spaces, and
yeah.
for the life of me, I can't remember which one's which because I don't look at these
matter.
every day. Well, it does for you.
Well, I'm sure that they're comparable.
No, they're totally comparable. They're just different layouts. Okay, so this is Douglas, and that's Gates.
Okay, well, this is me.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
So yeah, this is where you enter. This is the front
Just the
door.
entryway,
This is where
yeah.
you come in, and then
Lovely.
they can come directly into your office.
Right.
Gates is slightly different.
Okay.
But it's similar. So same spaces, but slightly different layout.
Sure.
In
to
the way that we
accommodate.
worked out. So you know, like the conference room for Gates.
For Gates, Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So again, you know, ways in which we can have multiple conference rooms so that you aren't jockeying for space.
Yeah.
You can start to see the beginning of the main stair,
Beautiful.
right? And we talked a lot about the width and
Yeah.
you know how this is a display. Similar situation with gates, right?
Yeah.
So with the safety.
Yeah.
And this also allows you to have multiple queuing for bus drop-off.
Sure.
So people can go out different doors.
Right.
It's right by the stairs, so they can come down and go straight out.
Like a fire drill.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah. So you can't see it from this side, but in spaces like this, we have the fish scales. I always call them the dragon scales, but yeah, fish scales. So they're really fun blue. Can we see the fish scales?
You can.
If you guys don't mind being a little muddy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, so we put in the fish scales because it's a fun element just to bring folly to the facade. And what you're seeing here is glazed tile. So again, with the yellow for preschool,
Right, it
green for
blends
gates,
the-
blue. It's
yeah,
a
the
subtle way
thematic.
of remembering what space. So you'll see at the main entrance there's a green and a blue side. So here we've got the yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are ways in which we signal kind of the transition of the various massing of the building.
I love it.
This is the preschool entrance, and of course we wanted the preschool entrance to be separate from the main entrance.
Sure.
Because they come in at different times and they're also a different scale.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's so exciting. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us on this very exciting tour of this building. Thank you for designing it, thank you for building it, and we are really excited to be moving into it very shortly.